I've been saying that for 10 years. That's absolutely insane. Thank you so much for being here to celebrate this with us. If you could have seen me 10 years ago when I was trying to put together a silly little poetry open mic in the third floor gallery of Low Mill, you would have never been able to convince me that this was a possibility. Don't cry, I'm going to start crying. Bets, if you're taking bets, I haven't cried yet today, but there is a strong possibility it will happen because we have an amazing show for you to celebrate the occasion. I can't thank you enough for being here. This turned out to be an absolutely beautiful day, so I'm glad you got your sweaters on and can be comfortable. We have some incredible performers ahead. I wanted to do just a little intro to kind of explain our journey in the past 10 years, but first I do want to thank the Orion, so please give it up for all the folks at the Orion for allowing us this space. Raina, Carly, Alaya, Dakota, who have been helping us promote this. Yeah, this has been a really big deal for us, and we're so grateful for them. So please keep supporting the Orion as well and all that they do. Yeah, Out Loud started as a small seed of an idea when I moved to Huntsville full time to create a safe space for all the talented literary artists in the area to come together, share their stories and their craft, learn from each other, and grow together. We started with open mics at Low Mill in the third floor gallery space, and they were very small, as I mentioned, but very mighty. And I knew with time, consistency, and patience, the community would blossom. More incredibly talented poets and writers and storytellers eventually caught wind, and the community expanded. We changed venues. We added workshops. We started an annual anthology project. We changed venues again. We added poetry slams. We kept growing. We became an official nonprofit. We got a studio space. We brought in features from around the nation. We visited local schools, giving writing workshops and performances and poetry slam demos. We put together slam teams to compete at a regional competition representing our city. And when COVID hit, we, along with so many others, moved online and just tried to survive. And when we were able to meet again in person, it was hard to tell how it would go. It was almost like starting from square one all over again. Was the wave over? Did we peak? If you look around, I would say that that is absolutely not the case. We kicked back off our monthly open mic series at Straight to Ale, and since we've had to move into their larger venue, the Speakeasy, because so many people keep on coming out. The only reason that we have been able to do all of this and that we've been able to have such a successful decade of local literary wonder right here in Huntsville is because of each and every one of you. Everyone who shares info about our events, comes on out to read, or just hangs out in the audience to listen is so vital and has always been. That's what this has always been about. Creating a safe space for necessary conversation to happen, for creativity to flourish, and for community to evolve. It has been such an honor to see this community grow over the last 10 years. Every voice that has graced our microphones and every single one of you that has shown up to our events has had a profound impact on me and this community, and I cannot thank you enough. So tonight, we're honoring the occasion with some features from incredible poets, writers, and storytellers from over the past decade, which is going to be phenomenal. Before I start introducing them, I'd love to warm up the mic and share some of my own work, because if you've been to any of our events over the last decade, you know that the only reason I did this is because that this has always been about me. Not the case, if you know me at all. Some other cool things that have happened in the last 10 years. I went to grad school, and I was able to do that because I was so inspired by this community. And now I have my first full-length poetry book that is available for purchase this evening, called Where the Water Begins. That started as my thesis for my MFA and has grown into what it is today. And I wanted to share some poems there as just a place to kick off. The first poem that I'm going to read is called This Too is a Sacrament, and it opens from an epigraph by Kwame Dawes, who is one of my MFA instructors, that says, "This is how you make your world small enough for you to wake up each morning and breathe. Run before the sun comes up, before the humidity drags your lungs to the pavement. Once you catch your breath, head to the backyard garden and touch each plant. Inspect for new life. Admire the way the vines find new directions for growth. Keep them from crowding and smothering each other. Sling the satchel across your back. Pick blueberries, dropping them into a bag, producing a simple staccato percussion. Rather than take one at a time, let your fingers curl around the bunches and pull. Forgive yourself for the ripe ones you let slip to the earth. The birds and the squirrels will clean up your messes, and you have enough harvest to fill a freezer. When you sit down to sip your coffee, read the news. Put a bowl of fresh berries next to your left hand Every time you read of a new death, put a new berry into your mouth. Notice how full you become. Notice how life can be pulped between your own white teeth, and even though you haven't eaten red meat in 11 years, that does not mean you didn't inherit incisors. Leave the juice dripping from your lips. When you put on your mask and go to the protest, remember the stains that you've made that others cannot see. Remember that pulling out your own teeth won't undo the damage of the past. Thank you. One more from the book, and then I got two more after that. This is the title poem from the book. The book deals a lot with grief and mental illness and addiction, but also how we heal from those things that have impacted our lives and how we move forward with those holes that have been created by those events. And a lot of that is with the power of vulnerability, which is what this community is so great at doing and what I'm so grateful for this community for. And also because of what we do with poetry, it's the art of noticing. So sometimes it's just about noticing the beautiful things around you. So this is about one time where that happened. I'm so sorry about the wind, but it makes it sound really spooky up here. I'm not going to share any scary poems. Okay. Where the water begins. The lake thins, tunnels through thick forests. We chase the creek, navigating over felled trees until the water clears. We hop out into the sand and pull the boat gently towards the base of a rock face where the cold current disappears into a cave. Rain runoff drips slow from the fractures in stone, nature's metronome. Fish flee beneath pond moss. He stands still enough to split in two. Here, no one else exists, just us and our doubles, mirrored bodies connected at the ankles, slowly reeling in the lure, quiet casting, repeat. There is a particular trust in letting someone see your split self, the version of you that only arrives when the world stills and sharpens. I count the folds in the rock face, my own mirrored self holding a half-eaten apple, staring at the upside-down sky. I hope when this Saturday strains through the sieve of age, I am left with enough mud to make a statue, to honor every bit, every stuck boat scraping against bloated bark and branches, the hopeful firewood wedged into the V of a tree refusing to split, the pile of bare shit on the beach we have to hop over to get into the water, the jawbone of a deer left by the coyotes and washed down the rocks to decay and bleach. The sun settles behind the tree line, so we build a fire, simmer the coals to cook, and make plans to hike to the top of the cliff tomorrow before starting the motor, stirring the water, sending ripples to erase our reflections. Two more from me. If you haven't been to our events before, know that I make the audience do just as much work as the people up here. So if you hear something that you like, not from me, this is not me seeking praise. I mean, but you could if you wanted to. If you hear something you like, you snap, you clap, you grunt, you do whatever you need to do to make it known that you like what's going on. So please feel free to, this is a conversation. That's what this has always been. So, you're part of it too. You're probably a more important part of it than I am. So, just feel free to get into it. I mentioned that my poetry is a lot about grief and healing and also the power of vulnerability. I personally have not been following my own advice as of lately, and so I challenged myself to write a new piece for tonight. Because what better time to try out new work than in front of the largest audience in the biggest venue that you've ever had, right? I mean, that seems like so romantic. So I wrote this weekend. This is called Returning. There is a moment when you are driving across country and the sun is rising behind you and the sky in front is the deepest royal blue, and for a second you cannot tell which way the earth is turning. My father is questioning his faith for the first time since he found it, after the loss of 2 sisters in 2 weeks. I am counting the discarded bumpers and the deer who destroyed them. I am wondering who is to blame. I am not alive within this body. My soul is broken into 17 pieces, one for each hour of humming highway. I am tucked into separate pockets for safekeeping, seatbelt click, clock in, all business. My father is wondering why God can take so much. My father is crying. I am refilling his coffee cup. I am asking how he slept, the last time he ate. My father's Bible is open next to his sister's notebook. We are walking through the dark woods together at dawn. We are calling to our dogs. We are trying to stay together while the sisters are singing their songs of surrender. That song lives within our lineage. My father and I have sung it ourselves in our own styles, tempos traced to back to blackouts or blackened eyes. Driving to a funeral, a deer dances across the road. My father says, "Get out of my way," and the deer flicks his head as if to say, "You first." I am thumbing the tired edges of printer paper. I am scrambling to type into my note stock so that a eulogy isn't the only thing I've written in 6 months. There are deep wells in the backyard refusing to let go of the last few weeks of rain. I have never been good at releasing my grip. My partner calls to check in, asks how I am doing. I pat my pockets and the only peace within reach is anger. I pick a fight. Call me a self-fulfilling prophecy. I am aching to remember softness, but I keep protecting my neck. He is trying to refill my cup, but I keep pointing to the cracks. The alarm clock rings. We repeat our cycle. Feed the dogs, sip coffee in the sunroom, tie on our heavy hiking boots and walk out to the back trails we've been wearing our treads into for 2 weeks. A family of owls hoots overhead. We leave our phones on silent. We stop replying to friends. We speak softly only to each other. We witness the way that light cuts through the bare branches speckled with newly forming buds. And maybe this is the holy that comes from the hell of grief. That eventually April defrosts the Massachusetts winter after an unrelenting storm of ice. That after weeks of unreturned texts, a friend still meets you for coffee and lets you talk about it or not talk about it. That after weeks of feeling weak, you can claw your way up iron rails to summit new sandstone. That after weeks of not laughing, a friend can work some top-tier potty humor perfectly into conversation. That my love will catch me when I crumble and still choose to stay. That eventually my father will return to the breakfasts and the Bible studies. That eventually, if we keep walking through these woods long enough, we will remember which way the world is turning again, and the sun will continue its climb over that infinite horizon. That is a 2-day-old poem. Thank you so much for letting me share my work with you. We have some amazing people that are coming up after me, and I cannot wait to get to them. I did want to share this one last poem, though. It is in the Out Loud Huntsville anthology, but this is the 2018 one, but we have 8 of them that are available for purchase at the merch table where you walked in. So, if you're interested in my book or the anthologies or any merch from any of your other performers this evening, we're all going to be hanging out in that little room after, so, feel free to stop by and see us and grab some stuff. I wanted to read this poem as like a throwback to some of my sweet babies some of who are performing tonight, some of who are just here showing up to visit tonight and watch. But we used to do a lot of youth meetups and youth work, and this is from a time when our community was going through a lot of stuff, and we were all just trying to be there for each other and remember that, through all of the ups and downs, like we have this community that is a beautiful thing, and we have this poetry, which is an amazing gift, and we have the ability to share it with each other. So I wanted to do a little throwback poem to end my set, so this is called The Same Simple Shipwreck. I found you sitting at the electric table where we constantly gather to talk out our traumas and make something more from scattered floorboards, and I want to stop time and tie you back together with a soft linen ribbon. I want to hold you the way that my car holds me on a long drive down a scenic highway. I want to tell you that the worst truths that you think you know about yourself are wrong. All of them. Even if you keep on writing and rewriting your mistakes into stanzas and sharing them on stage, I know that they aren't true because poems could never be you. Poems aren't people, y'all. People are people. And the poems are just slow dances with moments that we turn down the volume long enough to remember that we are a part of the whole spin of the earth. A holy locomotive we are on endlessly. Even when we find that fresh patch of dirt to dig our death into, we are alive within the soil and the steam, and that is so fucking beautiful. But please stop romanticizing that bone rattle we all end up rolling into one day. Instead, be bold in the now and the now and the hey, you remember that person that made you feel so grain of sand? Well, they're still late night scrolling your social media, staring long and hard at your successes, stuck in the muck of wanting to make everything around them as ugly as they imagine their own lungs to be, all tired, tar, and trying. But don't forget that even they aren't as ugly as their worst truths, because people aren't their angriest moment, y'all. People are people, and they are happening all around us. So offer compassion when someone tries to bait your brilliance into a bombing. Curl compassion around your knuckles and hit the haters with your best shot. Right in the kisser, to the moon. to the moment they first loved themselves, to the day they stopped trying to get that moment back. Love them the loudest by not saying a word, and loving yourself instead, set an example that maybe someday they too can shut up the snakes slithering within their own sternum, because we are all built from the same simple shipwreck. We are all turning over new leaves to unearth old dreams from before the world broke us, and every time I learn to love something that tried to kill me, I become my own hero. So thank them for the obstacles they've allowed to live like razor blades between cheek and teeth, to speak of any time someone tries to think that you are weak. And once you've gone ahead and offered these gifts to a few, don't forget to take the time to turn back around and come inside, back to the table, to that shadow you left sitting scrolling on the long story of all your wrongs, and tell them it is time to stop setting fires to the past just to remember how much it all burned. Give them water, give them rest, because the tools that you use to save others can still save you too. Thank you. That's it, everybody go home. No. That was the reason that we did this. No, absolutely not. We have 5 more amazing performers for you this evening, and I'm so excited to share the stage with them. These are all people who have been involved in this community in one way or another over the past 10 years, and it is just an honor and a privilege that they all decided to come on back and join us for this celebration. So next I'd like to introduce you to storyteller extraordinaire Sam Mitchell. Sam came to our community by way of Atlanta, and as soon as he stumbled onto our creative community, he became a huge part of it. Not only has Sam been an ongoing regular reader and supporter of our Out Loud events, Sam has also helped run storytelling workshops, has featured with us at several events, to include our old storytelling series at Burritt, Stories Under the Stars, as well as Tin Can Stories. And he has even designed the cover art for 2 of our anthologies, one with the help of his amazing son, Henry. Shout out, Henry. From the moment Sam came to our community, he hit the ground running. He is someone who truly understands the work that goes on behind the scenes to make something like this happen, and he is there to help put in the effort. He knows the power storytelling has to bring a community together and create transformative experiences. Sam has gone on to co-found his own storytelling group, Bramble Stories, and makes some amazing art to boot, so, talk to him about that after that. Please welcome up Sam Mitchell.
I have to start off by saying, damn it, Kimberly. That was too nice. First, I do want to say congratulations to Kimberly. Your work has helped change the community here in Huntsville over the past 10 years by giving people a voice. And I also want to thank you for giving my first storytelling opportunity here after one of the workshops. And I want to say that gave me the confidence to pursue a personal nonfiction as a passion. Yeah. And to the other artists, TC, Joshua, Chloe, and Ashley, I'm honored to be sharing the stage with you. So these are absolutely. All right, these are 3 vignettes about fatherhood, and I have my kid here with me tonight. February 2022, age 10. As we were heating up our pizza, I turned on the retro MTV channel, which played real music videos from the 80s. Uptown Girl by Billy Joel was on. Recalling facts from the show pop-up video, I turned to Henry and I said, hey, fun fact, Henry, do you know why Billy Joel said he started playing piano? No. Why? My 10-year-old replied. To impress women. No, seriously. Do you see that woman in the video that everyone is singing to? That's Christy Brinkley. She's a model. He married her. He was not impressed by this trivia knowledge. Later, in that same Friday evening, we sat down to watch a special on fantasy creatures that was hosted by one of my favorite Brits, Stephen Fry. Inevitably, the program covered unicorns and their origins. One inspiration was the narwhal, the toothy whale of the North Sea. Mr. Fry explained that the use of this horn/tooth was still a mystery to scientists, and that perhaps it was used to break ice in frozen areas of the sea. Henry promptly paused the video to tell us what he had learned from one of his favorite science podcasts. That part about breaking the ice can't be true, because only the males have the tusk, he said, and if it's for survival, the female would have it too. This means the male narwhals have it to impress the female ones, because they can't play piano. Henry, that's partly for you, buddy. June 22nd, Henry, age 10. Henry and I have been reading a spy novel in the evening. The main protagonist is an astute 12-year-old boy who comes to conclusions using a deduction method he calls toast, the theory of all small things. Insignificant observations on their own are trivial, but added together they give you a fair chance for guessing bigger picture items and outcomes. When we sit down for dinner, we have a direct view of our across-the-street neighbor's driveway. We see the father's red BMW and a small 2000s Ford Ranger that we haven't seen before. What do you think is going on, Henry? Shall we use toast? And here's what we notice. Smoke from behind the house. The dad was pacing the driveway looking at his phone. The presence of a new/used truck. Said new truck had newly slicked tires. So we guessed the dad was waiting for someone to arrive. The smoke was from the grill to cook a celebratory meal. It was someone's birthday, and the truck would be the gift. His oldest child was already driving, so we guessed that the truck in the celebration was for the younger son. A few minutes later, our voyeurism paid off. The father looked up from his phone. A car pulls up, dropping off the son. He walks up slowly to his dad, who has now pulled out a set of keys and is jangling them. Jackpot. They both walk around the truck, inspecting it, opening doors, letting the gate down, etc. We were cheering. There was only one thing left, I said. The hug. I don't know, said Henry. Doesn't look like they're going to. Regina, my wife, then bluntly stated, Henry, if I ever give you a car, you better believe I'm getting a hug. And as we started to get back to our meal, we noticed that our neighbors were still inspecting the vehicle. Hug, hug, hug. We started chanting. Henry and Regina took a look up again at the two through our window. Our neighbors did not know they had become the subjects in our homemade anthropological study. Regina and Henry both shifted from employing the scientific method and joined me in my chant, which was part magical thinking and part wish fulfillment. Hug, hug, hug. We repeat more loudly. They do. Jackpot. May 2019, Henry, age 7. Henry has taken to mimicking my social practice of engaging people through their pets. Every time we pass someone on our bike rides or walks, I wave to the unfamiliar people in our neighborhood walking their canines, and I say, hey, I like your dog. Yesterday, we're driving through. Henry's on the passenger side in the back with the window down, and I'm sitting with him while Regina stops at the intersection. A couple is coming towards us on the sidewalk with a Great Dane when Henry's about to say, hey, I like your dog, but pauses and looks at me. What kind of dog is that? I whisper to him so Regina can't hear. Henry waves to the couple, now closer, and screams, hey, I like your horse. Regina laughs. The couple laughs. Henry is thrilled to be in on the joke. And I realize that this really isn't a bad way to break the ice with folks. Who doesn't like to hear nice things about your dog? Maybe this works with other things too, so I keep this tidbit in the back of my mind. On a recent bike ride in my neighborhood near the hospital, I pass a house whose yard decorations inform me immediately that we are aligned politically. I passed this house before, and I think about how bold and brave this person is to be addressing the public from her porch with such fervor. It's not a stance that I have taken, as I don't like advertising to others who I am when I'm not looking. This time, I see two women walking out of the front door. The woman in front was more typically dressed for an older person in the South. White slacks from Chico's, and a loud top with an all-over print of parrots. Her hair is permed and dyed. The woman behind her has natural, longer gray hair. She's wearing athletic shorts and an Abide No Hate t-shirt that I know was purchased from the bitter Southerner because I had bought one myself. She was very clearly the homeowner. And as to form a bond in the seconds as I passed on my bike, I screamed out, hey, I like your shirt, to which the woman in front, the one with the parrot shirt, she yells back in her drawl, Thanks, I got it from Marshall's. I tell Henry about this when I get home. So when giving compliments to strangers, stick to the sure bet of dogs. All right, trigger warning. This next story is a coming-of-age story, and it's also about 2 years I spent as a Southern Baptist. So I just want you to know I got better. My first exposure to church was at 17, but even then, I was not convinced of Johnny's righteousness. Johnny was the music minister, and his demeanor was that of a used car salesman, but instead of selling clunkers, he would offer you a great deal on a ride to heaven. And perhaps his remarkable resemblance to pro wrestler Ric Flair was the reason that so many people were drawn to him. And despite the chaste stance from the pulpit, Johnny was not afraid to flirt openly and heavily with any of the small Baptist church's female parishioners, no matter the age and no matter his or their relationship status. Mom and Dad were supportive of me while I forged my own path when it came to religion, but this was not their place. One night they came to the church to hear me sing in the youth choir, and afterwards I introduced them to many of my friends and to many of the church leaders, including Johnny. And after about 5 or 6 introductions, my mom, all she could do was shake her head and say, "Ooh, this is a huggy church." After the service, Johnny invited all of us youth, mostly teenage boys, to his home to play cards. They had heard about the sins of gambling at church, but to then hurry off to play poker at the minister's house was a contrast. If not for my wanting to be with my friends so badly, I would have never learned to play Texas Hold'em, nor would I have met Joni. I walked into the kitchen from the back door, and I saw her standing there. She was a vision with pink hair, the manic pixie dream girl from every 90s music video. All my friends scrambled to introduce themselves, but I hung back a moment, gathering my composure. Now, admittedly, I was never that cool, but I walked over. I held out my hand and I said, "Hi, Joni, I'm Chachi." And that's all it took. One bad Happy Days reference. We were linked. She was the answer to all my teenage fantasies, and I happened to be the only guy there not wearing cowboy boots. Joni was Johnny's daughter who was visiting for the summer, all the way from Galveston, Texas. She made her reluctant mandatory trip each year to visit him, but was often ignored by her father for most of the day. And her distaste for him was palpable, as heard by her curt responses, "Yes, father. No, father." And at 17, Joni was the most exciting person that I'd ever met, as she was nothing like the debutantes of small-town Georgia. And based on our spark and our perfect movie-like meet-cute and the love of the same bands, I was convinced that Joni could be the one. But there was one huge obstacle. Aside from her living in Texas, she had a boyfriend back home named Jibo. I didn't want to start a real relationship while she was with someone else, even someone with such a dumbass name. I was taking lessons from church to heart about sex outside of marriage. The fear had been put into me, so taking this ethical high road kept me safe from all eventualities. See, I was just content to be in her presence. And all of our unspoken feelings were expressed by a CD playlist that we made for each other, whose song titles held coded messages about our feelings. Summer ended. She went back to Galveston, and life moved on. One night, around midnight, my dad angrily handed me the phone. "Sane people don't call this late," he said. It was Joni. "Hi, Sam, it's me. One day, when we get the timing right, it's going to be you and me. Call me right back." I floated through the ceiling, and I quickly called her back. And on a high, we talked for 3 more hours, racking up the largest long-distance phone bill my parents had ever seen. In between summer visits from Joni, I spent most of my time at the neighbor's house. I was in rural farm country, and the house was literally across the pasture. And it was a foster home. And as the foster home was on the back lot of a cattle ranch, I just referred to their house as the ranch. My parents were thrilled that I finally had neighbors who were my own age, as I was an only child and much of my growing up was in the country where the closest person in age was miles away. So much time was spent with them, I jokingly became an honorary foster child. And like Joni, the foster parents were also from Texas. The dad was a bow-legged, squat fellow with short gray hair and a barrel chest. You should have heard him speak. It was just pure Texan. He always had a fitting phrase in his verbal holster at the ready. It's raining like a cow pissing on a flat rock. Now, his wife, who was every bit his match, could always translate for those who didn't know what he meant. Don't let him confuse you. He just means it's raining and it's windy and the rain is blowing in every direction. There were games and fights and movies and camping and potato cannons and shepherd's pie, which I never had. It was culture shock for me, but in the best possible way. The ranch parents strove to be a model by doing, and it was very important to them to live the lessons that were being advocated for at the church. There were just one man and one woman, married, raising 9 children. They were the picture of a modern family who had a so-called calling, as they saw it, to be a beacon of light in the lives of several young people who had come from unstable homes with addiction and abuse. They were also the people who invited me to their church, the one where Johnny was the minister of music. The ranch parents' 25th wedding anniversary was quickly approaching, and their kids were planning a surprise party for them at the church. And as with all major life events, everything happened with, through, and at the church. And after the initial jolt of being surprised by everyone, the couple of the hour was seated like king and queen in metal folding chairs in front of a table with their gifts. Johnny, Joni's dad, pushed his way through the church crowd to sing a cappella style to the couple. Johnny belted "Can't Take My Eyes Off of You," as popularized to them by Andy Williams. You see, it couldn't get any more white bread than this. And I'm not going to sing this part, but a few of the lyrics. You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I want to hold you so much. The mom began to weep. She then covered her face with both hands as she cried. All the while, Johnny smiled, eyes ablaze. He bent to his knee to serenade her alone, and then took her hand to finish the song with all his forced diction. Could her husband not sing? Even if he sang badly, but with raw emotion, these personal lyrics wouldn't be channeled through the voice of a single alpha male gazing into the eyes of his wife. The ranch dad looked unperturbed, which led me to believe that things were on the up and up, and maybe I was making something out of nothing. As again, this was a very huggy church. But none of this really mattered. The next day, Joni arrived for the summer, and she had just broken up with Jibo. So color me surprised when the first thing that Joni wanted to do was visit the ranch. I didn't understand why this was the first item on her vacation itinerary, but it didn't matter. I was excited to introduce Joni to my neighbors, and I was excited to be with Joni. Joni's expression on the car ride was steely, but when we arrived, it was replaced with cool in a matter of seconds. And as she walked in, she began searching for something or someone that wasn't there. See, Joni was on a mission. And after a few intros, Joni turned to me angrily. Where's the mom? The absence of the ranch mom solidified that she was done, and she was ready to leave after only a few minutes. I was so confused. Upon leaving, looking straight ahead, Joni said, I have a secret to tell you. Drive me back to my dad's house. And it was Wednesday afternoon, which meant that Johnny was already at church getting ready for that evening service, so we could walk into his place unannounced and uninterrupted. She led me to his bedroom. This was a home that I had been in many times in the evening to play games with my friends from church, and now here I was in a place that would have no doubt been off limits, and here I was with his daughter. To say it was strange was an understatement, but based on her body language, this had nothing to do with us. Joni coolly directed me to his nightstand and pointed to his answering machine. Push play, she knowingly said, and I did as I was told, as my curiosity could not be helped. Johnny? Oh, Johnny, it's me. I miss you. It's so strange to see you every week and still miss you. I know what we're doing is wrong, but I can't help myself. Who was that? I said in my most exasperated manner, not believing that someone who would purposely leave a message like that on a recording device to be found. For anyone, this might be salacious, but to hear it on an answering machine belonging to a minister, it sounded scandalous, especially when there was so much preaching about premarital sex and sex outside of marriage and sex. At least she was wise enough not to leave her name. Seriously, Joni, who was that? You know who it was, Sam. It was the mom at the ranch. Immediately, I realized how I, too, had been naive about the anniversary serenade the night before. Holy shit. The mom was the caller. I never said a word about it to anyone. And by the end of her visit, without the obstacle of her boyfriend and without the fears that I had the previous summer, I professed to Joni that I loved her, and all that she could ask was, why? I can only attribute my lack of heartbreak with the feeling that once again our timing was just not right. Slowly, rumors began to percolate about Johnny and the ranch. The ranch parents moved back to Texas, and Johnny was eventually prayed out of the church. He quickly moved on, was forgiven, and took up at another church. You can't keep a good music minister / car salesman / pro wrestler lookalike down, as they say. I saw Joni sporadically the next summer as I was now a full-time college student, and I wondered if finally our timing would be right, but then she confided into me that she had slept with one of my friends. It wasn't love or attraction, but she remembered him from when they were both 5, and wouldn't that make a great story one day? Hearing this was not the best news, and all I could wonder was if she would become like her father. 3 years later, I received my own voicemail. I drudged my way to my bed, ready to collapse after my comparative lit exams, the last exam before summer break, and my machine was blinking, and I pressed play. "Hi, Sam, it's me," she said. "I miss you. I'm getting married tomorrow, and I just wanted you to know. I just wanted you to know that even now, I thought it was going to be you and me." She never said her name, and I never called her back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sam. I may cry over a few things tonight, but it would never be an a cappella version of your Just You. That is quite reckless. All right. If you are enjoying yourself and you have not been, a member of Out Loud Huntsville for a while and you want to support us, we are an active nonprofit. So you can become a member of our nonprofit, and that is $25 simple for a year-long membership. That is something that we can sign you up for at that merch table as well. So if you like what you're hearing and you want to give back, that is one great way to do it. And you get access to members-only writing workshops and different events and meetups, and it's a really good time. You also get a fancy members-only T-shirt, so that's pretty cool. So we might sway you to spend some money this evening because we are a nonprofit and we do not profit from anything. So just keep that in mind. I'll be doing some plugs up here. Next up, we have Josh Baker. Josh came to our community as a feature recommended to us by another feature tonight, TC, all the way back in November of 2016 in the classroom at Low Mill as a college student at A&M and serving as the vice president of their poetry club. Josh was a young, fresh voice and one of the most powerful poets I had the pleasure of seeing. Josh has since not only grown within our community, giving multiple featured performances, attending and hosting workshops and youth meetups, competing regionally as a member of the Out Loud Huntsville Poetry Slam team, and being published in many of our anthologies, but he has also grown as a person and a poet in immeasurable ways. Josh is now a social worker and community activist down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, working on his PhD, and I did have 3 self-published books of poetry, but it is now 4 because Josh made a poetry book for tonight for you all to purchase for $10 simple, so that is going to be lit. Definitely check that out. Josh is a poet whose work highlights the pendulum of human existence, honoring both joy and the wreckage, the grief and the godliness. You are going to love him. Please welcome up Josh Baker.
Hey y'all.
get a hey? Hey. Can I get a all right? All right. Ah, how good it feels to be back. I would be remiss if I didn't start off saying that. Out Loud Huntsville was so important to me at a time in life that was very heavy, where I needed to find my second wind. And so I'm so thankful for the beautiful community that exists here and for all the balm that just being a part of this family has been. I also got to shout out 2018 Slam Team. Can y'all make some noise?
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were all in the building, okay? Y'all giving me my third win right now, okay? So tonight I'm going to share some items from my latest work, Honey and a Handful of Blood.
Yes.
And I hope that in the sweetness of life and the badness of life, there's something in here that you can take it on into your journey, okay? This next set of questions is going to seemingly have nothing to do with each other. I'm going to ask them anyway, okay? Do I have any Euphoria fans in here?
Yeah.
Okay, you people like the show Euphoria, okay. Do I have anybody who hates when you're like on a Zoom meeting and they encourage you to turn your camera on?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I knew you had to be like one of them. So this first poem is for all of you lovely people. So because I love Euphoria, and by love Euphoria, I mean how could you not binge watch it after you watch the first episode? And I was listening to some of the writing and I was like, wow, this gets really poetic sometimes. And so, if you know, within poetry community, sometimes we do what are called after poems, where you might be inspired by a line that someone else says, and so it inspires your own kind of mental trickling, and you do your own thing. So this is the first one in the Euphoria series, inspired by none other than the iconic Rue Bennett, and it's called Wax and Wane. Unmute. Turn your camera on. Let them know what it looks like when someone is getting bad again, when someone can barely get out of the bed again, when staying alive feels like a beg again. Unmute. Turn your camera on. Smile wide enough and you'll swallow the screen climbing its way up your throat. Paced and deliberate, slow and steady really does win the race. Unmute. Turn your camera on. Lay your agony at the feet of their altar. Give yourself over to the ghost greater than yourself and hope you're something healed when it gives your body back. Unmute. Turn your camera on, superstar. After all, don't they think your rage and rant and drama are just attention seeking? Just a matter of control. Just a matter of discipline. Just a matter of bullshit will, simple, until they're the house on fire waiting to be put out. Unmute yourself, but don't say a thing, because even when you're saying things, you're not saying a thing. Turn your camera on, but don't blink. Maybe if you're still long enough, they'll figure out you didn't choose to live dead. Mute yourself. Turn your camera off. Think of what a whirlwind life really is and wonder, has it always been this way? Or if you've just never looked up to notice. Thank you. So as the lovely Kimberly Casey said, for a whopping $10, you can have a little bit of my trauma, a little bit of my joy, a little bit of my eroticism, you know, whatever you're going for, there's something in here for you. But I would say the better pitch, even besides the content, is that this little lovely pen right here, if you ask for my signature, I will give it to you with this pen. And that right there is enough for you to buy the book. You know, you can just go back to that memory sometime. Don't worry about what's in it. It's the pen for me. So this next piece is entitled Sad Humans. My last prayer was to be a good person. The last time I prayed and the last time I believed in prayer are not the same. The last time I believed in prayer, death knew us differently, hadn't lost its manners yet, no barging in on unfinished business. My last prayer was to be a good person. The last time I prayed, there was more hate in my heart than the last time I believed in prayer. Death knows us differently now, so much so even the living are playing, and we don't even keep our cards close to our chest. My last prayer was to be a good person. And the last time I believed in prayer what it took to be a good person was different. Thank you. You know, sometimes got to be a little long poem, a little short poem. You know, it's got to alternate it up a little bit. This next piece is entitled "The Cost of Living," and it's so ironic. Hey, Natalie. I love you, girl. Natalie, you are so much of my heart in human form. Back in our slam days, there was actually a poem that we did that was about the complexity of being too little for some people, but being too much all at the same time. And very unironically, I went back and watched that a couple weeks ago, and I was like, now we ate the help, though. Like, what brains were we writing with back then that was getting all that done? And right, this is crazy times. A wonderful time. So this is kind of like a sister poem to that, Natalie. Don't you just love when conversations and performances like turn into direct conversations? It's really cool. Yesterday, I didn't want to live. Today, I'm imagining my children, or forgetting them and putting in their place a new country, a new song, a new adventure spread over my aching body. Yesterday, I didn't want to live, but today I am finding my second wind. And in case I forget tomorrow, death wishes don't make you a disappointment. I tell my friend, most days I don't want to be here. I don't run from the silence this time. Don't fill it with a joke. Don't nurse this infant emptiness. We sit in our shell of a human for what it's worth. We sit. Each day is an attempt in bewitching my bones to long to be here, to carry the earth a little lighter, to cut my grief a little leaner. Thank you. This next piece is entitled Extrication. So fun fact, when you're a poet, sometimes you just hear random cool words, you look up what they mean, and then you build poems around them, you know? Nobody can tell you the order of things. This isn't math. In some car accidents, a person cannot simply be removed from the vehicle, but the vehicle must be removed from around the person. And in this love affair, it isn't always clear who should move first, whose breath should die out last, who has already given the most of themselves. You will offer yourself up. You will ask, did not even Christ break his body to feed whom he loved? You will say that your blood is part iron anyway, that this is simply you returned to your metal captor, or your first love, because aren't they the same thing? You have never loosed a love that didn't feel like quitting, and he has never leased a love that felt like staying for. So you wade in this familiar immobility, stowed away to this sepulchre of silence. You would say it at least had to be one of us. But in some instances, the car is holding your life in place. This python of a metal is practically breathing for you, leaves you wondering if escape is worth the risk, or is this a way to live? Thank you. This next piece is entitled Hunger. Thank you to my trusted friend. Isn't she just doing so great? I don't know, she's great. Tonight, Palestinian children go hungry, and there is no metaphor wide enough to travel that hunger. Not the lover that leaves me undone. Not the dead mother I seek out in my face. Not this cage of a barren home. Starving is never the same. Each day is a new and desperate yearn, a parade of untouched want. I do not ask where God is in the hunger. I did not ask in a dying love. I did not ask in a dying mother. I do not ask in an empty home. Tonight, prayer feels violent. Children die while God evaporates. Madness to see the same stars, the same moon, with eyes intent on piercing the vast darkness, to see the same dawn, to await the same rising sun, but to never know the same hunger. Thank you. Shout out to Algeria. Where you at, friend? Shout out to all my people that came out to support, but particularly this next one goes out to Algeria because before I ever officially came out, we would always joke about what it meant to be boy crazy. And now we exist in a time where we can be crazy about these men together, okay? And so being able to come out, being able to enjoy all of the delicious fruits of life. This next piece is entitled to one of those delicious fruits that confuse the fuck out of me. So it is entitled Curious. I want to ask him if he loves me, but not with the curiosity of a lover, not with twiddled thumb and expectation, but with scientific curiosity. I want to ask him if he loves me in the way a scientist would ask how much love it takes to use somebody. When I use his body, it's an act of love, it's reparation for all the boys unsnuck from my room, escaping into the night, each step into the darkness, erasing their father's judgment. If I were an abomination, we were only sissies together. I drive deeper into the darkness, shedding my mother's grief, the steady knowing of a ghost that returns with his every touch. How would I tell her that God has become a stranger, a phantom and faint echo? If I pray tonight, my mother's God will exempt me, but it's been years since my repentance has been sincere. Thank you. This next piece is entitled Shame Can't Go Where I'm Going, and shout out to Kimberly Casey for teaching me in some of those youth meetups about a non-linear poem, okay? There's a poem where you throw some things, some events in different interesting orders. In middle school, there was a rumor I wore my sister's clothes. I don't have a sister. Kids can be cruel or curious, or like any true thing, something in between. When my uncle says faggot, I become a jealous lover. He's never bled for that word, never studied the vertical trace of his veins, never believed his unbecoming was the best way to become. In college, my high school crest messaged me to fuck. I had never seen myself as something to fuck, let alone thought that anyone was seeing. When my friend asks if this always happens, I assure her that after a while, you don't even notice the stairs. And when the protesters tell us we're going to hell, I remember the hell of hiding, praying for deliverance, then for death. I cannot hold your father's hatred, and shame can't go where I'm going.
Yes.
Thank you. Last but not least, a piece entitled What Took You So Long. I dedicate this to another amazing feature that's gonna come up here and just blow your socks off in a second. TC, wherever you are, I love you so fiercely. This is actually one of their favorite poems. They would always tell me that. And so, because they're one of my favorite people, it also became one of my favorite poems. A fire takes its last breath, leaves the smell of smoke to remind you it was once breathing. No other way to describe loving him than in metaphor. So when asked, what took so long? You are asking, what took so long to remove the smoke from the walls, and then from the carpet, and then from my clothes? You are asking still why there was nothing I could do about the lung damage, why my hands couldn't reach anything touched on the inside, why I couldn't untaste the ash on my tongue. You are asking how I could stay in a house with so much history. I am asking, how could I leave? A fire takes its last breath, and I am hiding my hands, crushing the coal within my palms, fingernails singed with soot. I'm asking you to believe it wasn't my fault, that somehow a thing can burn no matter how much we love it, that no matter how much we love it, we can't always bring it back. That even if we bring it back, it is not the hours we remember, because the hours we remember was never really ours. Thank you. Again, I am so grateful to the Out Loud Huntsville community for the lives that this work saves. I love y'all, and again, just buckle in, because we only 2 in, okay? Y'all know who y'all got coming. Y'all know, okay? Get ready for it. Thank y'all.
Yeah. The bet is not only how many times I will cry tonight, it's will I fall getting up on this platform. It's getting harder with the lights right in your face. When the sun was behind you, it was easier, but now it could go either way. Thank you so much, Josh. That was absolutely incredible. As mentioned, Josh does have a very brand new book of poetry at that table that you can buy for only 10 simple dollars. But Josh was also referencing some old Poetry Slam team stuff. Some of that does live in our older anthologies. So we have 8 anthologies available for purchase. They're $12 each. They are a really cool project that we started up 9 years ago, so after our first year of existence, where anyone who had read at any of our events in the last year could submit and get at least one poem published. And this is like an actual book with a real spine and a barcode that you can buy on the internet. Like, it's a real deal publication. So we wanted to give the gift of like being able to see your work in print. So these are very powerful, important projects. So if you are interested in checking those out, please stop by that merch table on your way out. As mentioned, I'll be up here plugging tonight. Again, that nonprofit. That's why they pay me the big dollars for my volunteer time. Next up, we have Chloe Philpott. Chloe is an incredible, powerful poet. She got involved in the Out Loud Huntsville community in the youth poet scene, driving all the way from Tennessee as a high school student, ready to share her powerful voice. Chloe became a member of Out Loud Huntsville's Slam team in 2018 and again in 2019, competing at Southern Fried Poetry Slam. She has been published in our anthologies, participated in youth meetups, led workshops, and though she is planting roots and doing incredible community organization work in Tennessee, she still comes down to grace our mic from time to time, which we love and appreciate. Chloe has some amazing accolades since her time at Out Loud. She currently works as a workshop organizer with Southern Word and a government advocacy consultant with Bass, Berry, and Sims during the Tennessee General Assembly. This was from her bio, but that she sent over, but I thought it was like very well worded. She aims to bring more opportunities in art and education to communities across Tennessee, and her poetry is unapologetically Southern, and she is constantly pushing the limits on how many poems one poet can write about tomatoes. Please welcome up Chloe Philpott.
You cannot see a single thing.
No, it's hard up there.
Okay. I wrote a little thing too, other than my bio. So, wow, okay. The first time I ever read a poem to an audience was January 2018 at Out Loud Huntsville. A friend of mine in an English class junior year of high school had showed me a video on YouTube of an event called Brave New Voices. There was no Brave New Voices team around me in Tennessee, so I Googled poetry slams online, and I could only find one in Huntsville. So that's how I found Out Loud. I was 16, almost 17, and I'd never driven to a big city, so my dad would drive me over an hour to Huntsville on Sunday nights, and instead of going to the poetry slams, he would sit in the parking lot at Little Mill while I went to the poetry slams. It has been 6 years since then, and I did eventually learn how to drive to Huntsville. But I competed with Out Loud at Southern Pride in 2018-2019. I also competed at Brave New Voices in 2018-2019. And I now work for Brave New Voices.
Yes.
Out Loud was the very first step I took in poetry, and it is the sole reason I ever started slam poetry. So many things in my life would not have happened had I not been welcomed into the Out Loud family, and I'm so, so grateful. I have no idea who I would be or where I would be if I had never found Out Loud.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily a slam poet anymore. I do teach slam poetry to youth, but I tried to memorize these poems. We'll see how it goes. These are going to fly away. I just realized they're front and back. In my hometown, there is a rock halfway up a mountain that overlooks everything. In the mornings, you can see the high school, tiny and unfamiliar from this distance. When the sun goes down, the town square makes a halo of lights around what only we would be able to recognize as a court. The rock is covered in memories. My name in lime green over 100 other layers of painted on dates. My friends and I would go in the middle of the night, lie shoulder to shoulder on the graffiti names of strangers, counting the season's constellations and praying no one stopped by to join us. This past summer, I brought a college friend home to visit. Actually, 3 summers ago. There's nothing special about my hometown, but I showed him all the best spots anyways. The lake, the state park, the rock. There were already people at the rock. High school kids with brand new driver's license, their whispers running through the trees like some invisible game of hide and seek. He tells me a joke. Says, "It looks like you've been replaced." And he is right. This town does not belong to me anymore. That night, I lied in a stranger's bed at my mother's new house and searched for something familiar in the dark. The summer triangle burning out the window, something constant and predictable. I lied there and accepted that maybe I had been replaced. Someone had spray painted their name over mine on the rock, and I didn't have time to go back. Someone else ate breakfast by the lake with friends that weren't mine, and the cats at the park found food from new hands, but I'm okay with it. Tonight, I dream of constellations on rotation, counted by my friends in different cities, and I will not feel unfamiliar anywhere. Ask me when I plan on settling down, and I will tell you never. There is so much more out there for me, and it does not hurt my feelings to know there are new people in all my old places. Maybe I have been replaced. Have been the replacer, moved on, found something bigger. I've spent so much time worrying I'm letting home slip through my fingers, and not enough time realizing home is never going anywhere. It is all the places I have been, anywhere I want to be, and exactly where I am right now. In the morning, the sun will pour herself into my childhood bedroom, and I will be home, but also so far away, because I have a home in so many places. This two-deep lake town, the place I spend all my days wishing away tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. And yesterday is the only thing I will have left of today when it finally gets here. So I will find myself in the mountain rain. In every ocean town I have ever been caught in, these cities will call me so many names. And I will respond to every single one of them. Lover in Virginia and Tennessee on Broadway at Thanksgiving dinner with old friends, stranger in a Washington subway with brand new ones. I will turn to them, as home as I could ever possibly be, and tell them the cameras and the traffic lights make our faces glow so red, because they know we are stars in so many ways. Tonight, we will follow ourselves to the ocean, to the mountains, to your grandmother's house, filled with brand new people, with names you do not know, and it will still be home. You will always be home. Since we're on the topic of friends, I have a poem that I didn't print out that I want to read. And this is a newer poem. It's called For My Friends, who I have cut up into tiny pieces in the process of building myself. I can swim the butterfly perfectly. It is not a great party trick, because I haven't been to a swimming party since I was 14. Sometimes I dream I am drowning, but I know you'd swim out to meet me, our 9-year-old selves attending tea parties at the bottom of the pool. I'd drink to you tonight and forever. I think of you when I pass the lake, memories sweet like strawberries and slower than the sunrise under the bridge, our breath fogging up the water for miles. I'd walk dogs for you. A good deed for the summer, through the cemetery of people we never knew and never will have time to, until we are parting ways for the years, the crossroads of the people we were and always will be, breaking into the people we have slowly been becoming. I paint with long brushes. I draw my hearts with lines through the middle. They're looping around into my love, something I've stolen from you. I drink cherry sundrop for you. My mouth pinker than your face after summer soccer games. I played soccer for you. I wrote poems for you. Caricatures of our childhood spirituality. I found religion for you. Again and again, I ate pies for you. I baked cakes in tiny ovens and full Christmas dinners and baby apartments. I learned to love because of you, bought myself Converse and leaned on you in bathrooms and over terrible pool tables, called to you across interstates over walkie-talkies and middle school morning intercoms until we were older than we could ever imagine. I found myself along this line, all the pieces of you and them, and still I became myself in all this love and this time and so many best friends. This is the poem I wrote for Brave New Voices last year. I'm Future Core, so Future Core is like the alumni of Brave New Voices, and we kind of mentor all the youth. So yeah, this is a poem that I wrote. At Brave New Voices, there's not a lot of Southern representation. It's really urban if it is Southern, and there's really no rural people as Brave New Voices. So I try to take that to Brave New Voices whenever I can. Open your mouth. What does it sound like? My grandmother snapping green beans 2 by 2 into buckets gone purple by the summer staining of blackberries. My grandfather's prayer over dinner. This blessing, this constant. Thank you, God, for these hands, for this food on this table, for this body, and this is what it sounds like. The steady rhythm of labor, this over and over for nothing. This is what it sounds like. My voice, an accent I can only think about, an old turning of words the way my mother did and her mother did, the way I lost it. Woke up one day with a new person in my throat, someone steadier, with a flatter line through her vowels, an accent like someone who only sometimes remembers she is Southern. When I say I am from the South, what I mean is there is an army of blackberry bushes circling my family's property, and every year it seems to get closer. I think maybe you're dancing around the point here. This is not about blackberries or green beans. This is about prayers thrown in the empty space by blue-collared children and their grandparents, how they are hoping they will wake up one day with muscles that do not ache and food they did not have to bleed for. This is about resistance. This is about offices with their backs turned on the weary, with titled people who've never met my people. This is about my people. Can you hear them? Their rolling tongues of resilience. My people, my hillbillies, my rednecks with hollowed-out cars in their front yards and trucks that actually get work done. This is what they love to call us out for. Them who think themselves fighters. They will call us these things with venom. Air us out like dirty laundry along the power lines our great-great-grandfathers broke their backs for, and they will still call us uneducated, unmotivated, behind, but do you hear it? Our fighters are right here. They were born here. Love here. This is what it sounds like. We are not helpless. We are pushing from the inside out like we have been for ages when the TVA gave our great-great-grandparents bedroom lights, and they had to redesign their kitchens for refrigerators. That was not them. That was us. That was our people. You cannot call it like you see it unless you have lived it, and they have never even tried. Because they hear me, all flat voice of me, saying Southern, saying Tennessee. They make a face like there is a secret between us, something like pity. Maybe they think me a victim, a trapped person, a mirror they see themselves in. What a privilege it is to fit into their spaces with no question of my origin. This is what it sounds like, a whisper of who I was, a witness to what is coming. And when they have me on the stand, whether victim or guilty party, I will swear on my grandmother's Bible, I will not take it back. I will not become someone new, because I do not want sympathy from people whose voices do not roll, who do not know me the way this land does, the way she holds me to her chest, like she is afraid she will lose me. I will not apologize for holding her back when she is crying for help. My land, my love. When I say I am from the South, I will never want an apology.
Yeah.
This is my last poem for the night, and it is called Tomatoes. Yeah, this is the only poem I'm doing about tomatoes tonight. I thought I'd mix it up a little bit. When I was younger, my grandfather would take my sister and I to his garden, and he would show us how to choose the best tomatoes. Good ones are not soft, but if they are too firm, they are not ripe. If it is not blistering red and consistent, you do not want it. How to love. Leave them on your counter and keep them warm. Do not slice down, always across. Keep the seeds intact and never peel. Sprinkle it with salt and eat it with your hands or between bread. Do not let it sit in your mouth. It will burn, but it is home. In a grocery store once, a friend I was half in love with dragged me to the produce and asked me to pick out the best tomato there. I held them all. I could not remember what they were supposed to feel like in my hands. Instead, I was only thinking of how my grandfather would not approve of this. My grandfather taught me more than tomatoes. He taught me the right way to twist a squash off the vine without hurting the body. He used to wear his best shoes to the garden and lose them somewhere among the plants. He would find them, he'd say, and we would, years later. I learned it's okay to lose things sometimes. They'll come back eventually. And if they don't, they weren't your best shoes. To this day, I have trouble eating tomatoes that aren't perfect. A deli that I used to work at used a mix of homegrown and grocery store tomatoes. Sometimes I would slice them and they were pink. I know my grandfather would point to the paleness and tell me that it is sad. My grandfather used to tell me every tomato chooses to grow. It is alive because it wants to be. When my grandfather got sick, he stopped planting his garden. In June, I found them alive and blooming despite his absence. Maybe it was merely the dropped harvest from last season, but I know they wanted to be there. The year my grandfather died, the tomatoes stopped coming back. I think they knew. I spent a whole summer trying to learn how to grow tomatoes the way he did, but seeds sat in the dirt and did not want to be. In the back bedroom of my grandmother's house, my sister and I find a box full of unopened tomato seeds. My sister tells me it is useless. Google tells me it is easier to let someone else do the work first. I know my grandfather would say easier is not the way to love something. I dig my own garden. I know his would not recognize me the way it did him. I researched the best ways to grow tomatoes from seeds, but I do not listen to any of it. I listen to my grandfather. I imagine him standing at the edge of the at the edge of the garden asking, are they ready yet? I say, I do not remember how to tell. Hold it in the palm of your hand. It should be heavy for its size. Squeeze it. Is it hard? Does it feel like the earth? Love? I have held 1,000 tomatoes in the lifetime before this one. They have all felt like love, like holding the center of gravity in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chloe. That was incredible. I'm so glad you found us, and you have just grown so much. Like a good tomato, you have grown. We actually had our first slam last month for the first time in a while, so it's kind of fun that all this conversation about slams has been coming up tonight. If you're having fun and you want to come back to our events, we do open mics on a monthly basis. So the third Sundays of every month, we are at Straight to Ale. Shout out Straight to Ale. Those events are free and open to the public, so I know the $5 is really breaking the bank for a lot of you, but those ones are free and open to the public. The next one is actually going to be an open mic and feature with Grace Dellis, who is on our board, celebrating a new book release. So that'll be on May 19th. So if you're having fun tonight and you want to come on back, please join us again. We have 2 more performers for you this evening. I cannot say enough about how incredible TC Caldwell is. TC joined our community in early 2016 and quickly went on to feature, demolish everyone at poetry slams, myself included, and I'm still bitter, help us run workshops on poetry and performance, and even was a storyteller at Sam's Project and Can Stories. They focus their work on the power of the personal narrative, as well as the historical, capturing life and lineage and all of the intricacies of family dynamics in all of its pain and beauty. TC has taught me so much about what it means to be a community leader with their work as now executive director for TKO Society. We have had the pleasure of running benefit shows for TKO as well as a community conversation series after our poetry slams way back in the day. TC is also an incredibly talented photographer, and I encourage you to check out their work after the show. Hit them up for the Instagram. Please welcome up TC.
Make it up there. Oh, you really can't see shit up here. Shout out to my godson for giving me Jerome the giraffe to help me be less nervous, which is not going to happen. Y'all, it's been so long since I performed on the stage like this. Let's give it up for Out Loud, though, for real. Like, create the safe spaces. There were places I could not go because I was queer at the time. Before I had language that I was trans, and there were some spaces that would not even let me bring all of myself. So spaces like Out Loud existed and saved lives like mine,
Woo. Yeah.
So I'm grateful, and shout out to Kimberly. And let's get into some poems.
Yeah.
How many of you have ever experienced a breakup?
Yeah.
Not like I can see you. Right. But have you ever experienced a friendship breakup?
Oh, it's hard.
I'd rather get cheated on than have a friendship breakup. And I'm very transparent in my work, but I recently had a friendship end that meant the world to me. And what it taught me is that you can't be prepared for everything, but if you really had love there, you would carry the goodness that you had out of that situation with you.
Yeah.
Right? But this is called My Lot. Yeah. Grief is sitting in my bones as if it belongs there. Maybe it does today. Maybe the ache is to remind me that once upon a time I felt something so powerful it cracked my back, made my body stand at attention. Do you know how hard it is to keep my attention? Do you know the days I can tell you more about the top of my shoes than what's right in front of me? This grief has reminded me what is in front of me. My back is too straight to turn around and wonder what happened. I have places to be. I have people to love. I have me besides. I'm tired of looking back there and seeing destruction. I ain't there no more. I gather my stuff at the first sign of hazardous conditions. I'm a hopeless romantic who carries a fire extinguisher for a heart. I put out fires that weren't even mine. I still smell you. I still smell the smoke in my clothes. They say Lot's wife turned around and turned into a pillar of salt. Folks try to say it was because she longed for what was. Nah. Sis just wanted to understand what happened. What made it all so ugly and violent? She looked back because her heart was still in destruction. Do you know how it feels to long for something or someone that is just not good for you? Something or someone you're not good for no matter how hard you try or lie to fit. Thank you. Again, I really didn't know what I was going to do. Back in the day when I used to slam with Out Loud and all that, I smoked a lot. So memorizing poems and stuff now is just like, oh, okay. But I haven't always been in love with TC. I haven't always loved who I was becoming. But I remember this girl in the 5th grade, and this was long before I came out. Her name was Shalonda, and I say her name because I'm hoping one day I'll meet her again, but she had the most beautiful black skin I have ever seen. And I did not know how to compliment her as a child. And I wish I had, and this was dedicated to her. There was this girl in the 5th grade, the shade of the most beautiful black blue hue of a color. You know, they call my daddy blue because he was so black he was blue, and like him, she was beautiful. I didn't have language or the know-how when it came to giving compliments. Too scared they would deem me gay, I laid low and allowed bullies to destroy her. To this day, I wish I had shielded her spirit. Wish I could have told her that she was the image of God. Wish I could have told her that her complexion made me miss a place I've never known. Just know that some of my grandmother's ancestors are on the other side smiling at this beautiful being. She made me see me and love this skin. I just wish I had affirmed her. But little black children aren't always equipped with the tools they even need for themselves. And, well, she was the most beautiful black blue hue of a color like my daddy. And like my daddy, she was beautiful. I hope, Lord, I hope that she knows it now. Thank you. Woo. Thank you. So, this is a poem dedicated to my person. Y'all are getting the medicated TC now. Some of y'all knew me when I was out there. But thank God for access, because we know access is a game changer, but thank God for access to medication. Thank God for access for safe communities like Out Loud. Thank God for people who see you at your lowest and still find some way to show you that you're beautiful. And this is for Janice. And I haven't always gotten it right. Don't know a person dead or alive who has, but I watch my mama and grandma stretch checks as if they were sheets on a clothesline, held together by prayers and candy orders, supporting motherfuckers who had more mouth than action, supporting men as if their lives depended on it, and when their lives depended on it, no man was found in sight. Watch my mama fall to her knees when they repossessed her car. I can still hear my grandmother's cry when she told me Uncle John had been injured in Iraq. My grandmother worked and worked, left this world a stroke patient who couldn't breathe. My mama carries things she refuses to release. She checked out a long time ago, and I'm telling you all my business because you are my business. Can't sit back and watch you work yourself into an early grave or accept bad commitments and connections. I haven't always loved black women properly, and that's honestly a damn shame when I know the pain I've endured, when I know the lineage of broken I have come from. I don't know your story, but I want to be a chapter you can go back and read without guilt or remorse. I see you, black. It's an affirmation to your spirit. Before I ever held your hand, I knew I wanted to walk with you. Even if this part of the story don't make it off the curve, the first time I kissed you, I had a deeper understanding of how favor ain't fair. I wanted to look in your eyes and see the weight of your heart. Never thought I could be just a friend. Don't get me wrong. I love you. I pray for you. I don't ever have to know the fabric and design of your holy. You are enough as you are. Your heart's magic is the glow around your body. You may not understand your own journey, but you keep moving through because you understand that sometimes obedience don't make sense. You put down spirits to come your spirit. Your transparency is breathtaking, and I see you. I see you. It's an affirmation to your spirit. I see you. And I thank you. Thank you. I'm not going to keep y'all long because I'm waiting to hear the incredible Ashley Jones, y'all. Like, whew. Oh, I'm a fan. I don't care. I'll scream by myself, woo, Ashley Jones! But before I go, y'all are not blind to what's happening in the world. We're not blind to the war and the destruction that's happening. We're not blind to what's happening in the South. We're not blind to what's happening with legislation. And this poem is for all oppressed people. This poem is for my people in the South, for my people of Sudan, Congo, Palestine, Haiti. This is for my people. I'm just going to get into it. We are in a crisis. This is more than an altar call. Keep praying. But our people are still dying. We lift our hands in worship. They lift their hands in hopes of not getting shot, in hopes of not becoming another hashtag, in hopes of not becoming another poorly written Facebook status eulogy, in hopes of not becoming martyrs for movements that can't move unless dead bodies are pushing them. We are in a crisis. You have the right to remain silent, but these bodies loud, though. Not all of my people got academic language for their pain. Not all of my people have academic language for their pain. You say war and oppression, they say everyday life. You say land grabbing and gentrification, they say where I used to live. Pass the collection plate to the left and hold the right accountable. Our people are being used as leverage. Hold both sides accountable. Our people are living paycheck to paycheck. Hold your government accountable. We turn to media lynchings without flinching, normalizing our pain, not realizing we don't need rope to hang from a system that already views us as strange fruit. We don't need rope to hang from a system built like a cat's cradle that you, your parents and grandparents have been trying to avoid. I am tired of counting bodies. I'm tired of prisons being used as public housing. I'm tired of black and brown youth being used as poker chips in a game we will never win. I am tired of dirty water. I am tired of war. I am tired of neighborhoods disappearing for the greater good. I am tired of normalizing death. We are in a crisis. Lord, if you would have just come sooner. We are more Lazarus than we are David. Lord, if you would have just come sooner, but there's no time for being weeping Marys. We have to get up and fight. Our ancestors are calling us to fight. Our people are calling us to fight. You do have the right to remain silent. But why would you? Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Amazing. I really appreciate you being here, all of you, to help us celebrate 10 years we're going to move right on to welcome up our final feature of the evening and Poet Laureate of the state of Alabama, Miss Ashley M. Jones. Ashley came to our community in 2017, featuring with her book Magic City Gospel. She was a frequenter of our open mic series, came back to feature again, and has led some incredible workshops for us in our past education series, the Out Loud Academy. Of course, she went on to become the Poet Laureate of Alabama from 2022 to 2026. She is the first person of color and the youngest person to hold this position in its 93 years of existence. Yes, Ashley is the perfect fit for the role. She understands the power of poetry, the need for it to be accessible to everyone, and the importance of highlighting local communities to give attention for poetry scenes to flourish around the state and beyond. Ashley's work is carefully crafted but does not pull punches in its content. Ashley is a generous writer, taking you through every rough and tumble wave of the emotional spectrum. I am honored to know her and honored to welcome her to the Out Loud stage once again. Please welcome up Ashley Jones.
Get on up there.
Oh, everybody's been saying it, but you really can't see it. Kimberly, I'm mad that you put me after TC. Not fair. I'm very excited to be here. I'm also a little cold, so if you see me shivering, this time it's not the spirit, it's just the cold. This is a beautiful community, and I was so grateful to be a part of it so much when I first moved back. I was just telling my boyfriend on the way up here, all my speeding tickets when I first moved back to Alabama were coming and going from Out Loud. So your bill will be in the mail. So I wanted to start, I've been going back and forth on what I was going to read, which I usually do. But after hearing TC read that last poem, I knew I needed to respond to them with this poem. They explained the state of the world so beautifully. Y'all know what's going on. This is called Conflict, War. This is a brutal place. We blame the dead for their dying. We train our eyes to make their bodies grow to monstrous girth. We say their blood is a necessary sacrifice, or worse, we forget their blood. The pumping that made them move, the breath that caught before the air filled with shrapnel. Who can help? I stare into the void of my cell phone and search for truth. I stare into the void of my own soul and search for truth. I stare into the void of the governing body and I find a void. There is no truth without blood. There is no blood in a constitution. There is no blood in a marbled hall. There is no blood in the gavel which strikes to signal another bill, also bloodless, passed against all the blood, just trying to stay within our bodies, trying to do its job. This place is brutal by tradition. Remember discovery and the murders necessary for making a whole new world. Remember Oklahoma. Remember Alabama. Even across the wide sea, the murders we sanction with money, the tanks all filled with fire, the miles and miles of blood. Some of us say, the children, the children. How do we tell a child her innocence is meaningless, her blood irrelevant to the bloodless powers that bleed the world? Her blood only a messy inconvenience, spilled to fill unfillable hands. Her blood, my blood, all for sale. Okay, so since I'm last and I'm what's separating you from food or something else this evening, I'll tell you that I have 4 more poems to read. So I'm going to make a choice here quickly, because I just added, TC made me add that poem with their poem. So today is a really important day for me and for my family. It is the 3rd anniversary of my father's death, and it was a very unexpected death. He was only 59 years old. My dad was a fire chief and a paramedic, and the best dad in the entire world. When I heard Chloe's poem about the garden, I thought about my own dad and his garden. He was just an incredible man and such a great example. And so I've started a tradition for the past 2 years to always be doing something poetic on his birthday, or on his death day, excuse me, because it kind of helps me to honor who he raised me to be, someone who tells the truth and who follows her passions. So I'm going to read a poem for my dad. This one is one that I wrote last year on the bus to Selma, Alabama. I went on the pilgrimage to the bridge that happens every year. I was on a bus full of Congress people. They're very interesting people, to say the very least, who were very protected by some people wearing sunglasses who spoke a lot like this. But I was thinking, of course, about what bridge we were going to see. I had never seen the Edmund Pettus Bridge before. And growing up in Birmingham, of course, I knew about civil rights and all the things that happened. And my dad was very adamant about making sure we knew our history at an early age. So, of course, I thought about him as well. And because grief is overwhelming, I thought about death on my way down there. So this poem is called On My Way to the Edmund Pettus Bridge, I Think of My Father. I don't know when will be the last days of my life. Today, on the road from Montgomery to Selma, I can't help but think of death. Can't help but hear its familiar quiet settling down on the bright green land. There is something in the memory of protest called fear. Still, I feel it when I remember the way some men beat the soft pulp of the marchers' bodies until it was a paste. I remember the way my skin signifies sometimes chains and the necessity of force, of death. Any day could be my last. I don't know who will be there when it's my time to go, whether by nature or by force. I wonder if my father knew it was coming when he died, if he had a moment to see the sky before it went black, if he smelled the sweetness of the breeze as it passed him. I hope he thought of me, of all of us. I hope he wished us well. I hope his mother greeted him in heaven, open arms made of angel wings. I hope when it's my time to go, I see him in an unending garden in the sky, tending a patch of collards ready to be plucked. I hope he turns to me with soil on his fingers and that thinking furrow on his brow. Maybe as I leave this earthly realm, he'll ask me to help him pick some greens, like we did one Thanksgiving a lifetime ago. I hope I feel the grip of their green hands, their veins as full as my soul. That was the cold again, not yet the spirit. But the spirit is near. The spirit is near. Also, y'all should know, one of my greatest nightmares is not having a podium, because y'all can like see my legs as I'm standing here. But it's all right. It's okay. The dress is long. You can't see. So this poem, I asked my boyfriend to pick a number between 1 and 50, because all these poems are in my new book that's coming out next fall.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just signed the contract day before yesterday.
Yes.
And he, thank you. Thank you. Did you say money? Was that TC? I really love TC. So he picked 32, so this poem is called Masks. What you should know about me is that I'm still a masker. I really don't like getting sick, and I've had COVID twice, and I had a cousin to pass away from it, and I'm just very scared of the world in general. And so this poem I wrote, not this year, but a year ago or 2 years ago, when I was traveling. I travel a lot to do poetry readings, and I was at the airport. It was a really busy couple of days where I was landing at midnight and leaving at 5 a.m., so I had a couple of hours to sleep. So I was just waiting for my mom to pick me up from the airport, and I still had my mask on because I just walked out of the door. And I'm usually very stranger danger. That's how I was raised, to be nervous about people, or to be cautious, let me say it that way. And there was somebody standing next to me, and I was so tired. As I said, 3 hours to sleep. And I didn't really register who or what it was, and I heard this person ask me a question, and because I was so tired, I answered the question. I should have known from the question to not engage. The question was, are you a Democrat or Republican? I answered, and the conversation that ensued was really quite terrible. This person started yelling at me, just berating me for what he perceived to be the wrong that had been done to him by people like me. I'll read the poem. Also, just be nice to people. People can do what they want. Please. Masks. What you might not know is that Columbus brought diseases to the so-called New World. In Hispaniola, the plagues he brought killed 95% of those who lived there first. Plagues like typhus, small and chickenpox, malaria, greed, the snaking sick of manifest that fueled the genocide we call discovery. There are plagues we can see, and some we don't. Not every ailment boils into a glowing pustule. Sometimes the rot floats undetectably through a hand as it signs a bill to law, through a knee as it mounts a pulsing neck, over a belligerent tongue. 2 nights ago, I wanted to go home. The airport, empty and silent, was all that stood between me and my bed. Then, almost midnight, and not much there but the plane which brought us from Atlanta and the hot breath of after dark. At first, I did not hear you speaking to me. What made me turn to you, shake my head no to your question about what party I supported? What made me stand and watch you tilt, a human pinball machine, with something like excitement? Maybe you smelled fresh blood, or the way my hands have never made a fist. Do you believe in the mask? You asked me like you really wanted to know. But soon those eyes of yours kept drilling down. Your tone turned sharp. I wonder if you yell at your children that way. If your mother would be proud to see you screaming at a woman you don't know. Did you, some airport arrival's Columbus, see my body as a waiting feast? My mask can deflect droplets, and maybe even this virus which killed my cousin and hundreds of thousands more. My mask can conceal my grin when a student makes a joke I shouldn't laugh at. Happens very often. My mask helps me to take deep breaths on the planes I frequent and fear. By now, you're telling me how shunned I should be. You're telling me how you obey the 45th American president. You're almost laughing with delight as I turn to you with shock, confusion, anger, and yes, hurt. There is still something in me called a heart, although yours is coated in blood in a cloud of ash or poison, or maybe one of those many plagues from sea to shine and sea. And your mouth froths, an unclean ocean. And I wonder if there is anything but decay on the other side of its gape and gnarl. But I am not a conquistador. I am not a colonizer. I do not want to plumb your depths. Your country can burn all on its own.
Yeah.
So we're at the last 2 poems. This one is one I've never read out loud before, so I figured why not Read it out loud, haha. I'm a teacher, I'm corny. That's what happens when you sign the contract. You just become cornier. So this is a golden shovel after my favorite poem by my favorite poet, Lucille Clifton. The poem is called What the Mirror Said. And I wrote this poem after, I don't even remember where I was somewhere in Birmingham. That's where I live. And I saw this grown man eyeing this black girl just up and down and all around in a very uncomfortable way. And it made me very angry because as black women, from the time that we're girls even to now as women, we are policed so heavily. We're watched, we are treated unfairly. And I wanted to fight this man, but as you heard in the other poem, my hands never made a fist. So I probably would not win that fight. So when I feel the need to fight, I take it to the page. Watch her, woman, or upon seeing a grown white man look a black girl up and down as she passed by on a Birmingham street. I've got my eyes on you. Listen, I'm a warrior woman. I'm a watcher woman, looking at you, look at my children as they pass you by. Oh, you thought no one was checking for a black girl? Huh. Wonder who told you that. Must have been a conquering man, a murderer of an ancient city who said, who will care what becomes of these people we steal? Who will answer for a black woman? I will. I'm watching you. Don't matter if you got a degree, a badge, a title, some land, a whole geography of your own. I will listen every time you breathe the wrong way. Every time somebody looking like me feels like they need help, like they need a hero. Ain't nowhere on the map you can go to escape my eyes. Please understand, I'm on to you. Been on since somebody came around in 1492 talking about, I need directions. We were trying to go to India. Move out the way. No room for more conquering around here. No room for you. Listen, no room for you in any black woman. No room for you nowhere, not even in this country, this street, this body. You are a no-place anonymous man. I saw you looking wrong at a black girl as she passed by, and mister, I got a problem with that. I'm making this my problem, buddy. Make sure your hands don't act on the plans your eyes make. I'm watching you. I'll watch and watch around the whole bloody world until I got my eye on anyone making plans for pain, anyone claiming us as his, anyone with a reaping hook for hands. Like Jesus on the sparrow, my eye is fixed on you, on any Dr. Sims, Dr. Death, Mr. Man who sees us as some playground, some discardable skin. I do give a damn about a black girl's body. Yeah. Okay, so to finish us out, I wanted to read a poem that I couldn't have written if I didn't ever come to Out Loud HSV. Well, wait till you hear it.
Oh boy.
Yes, you wait. So some people who were around when I was around know that there was a certain someone who passed through. And he passed right on back wherever he came from. While he was hovering with us, he became one of these men that I have to write about in my books. Not in a nice way, because he was not a very nice person to me. It was around the time my grandmother was passing away, and he made all these big promises about how he was going to be there for me, he was going to pray with me, and then he ghosted me.
Oy, oy, oy.
So, and I know some of you remember this person. So this poem is for that person, wherever you are. Thanks out loud. Summer Stina. It's a Sestina for all the nerds. You don't deserve this poem. When I met you, grandmother was almost a star. Oh, let me stop. Let me tell you all the funniest part of this whole thing. So, y'all know pickup lines are usually really terrible, right? Yep. I'll tell you the pickup line this person said to me. So I'm at the reading, I'm super excited, we're on a break, I'm buying some chocolate, 'cause I used to be in a place that sold chocolate. And he comes up to me and he says, hey, and this after I've read, he's like, hey, do you have an MFA? I'm like, yeah, I do. And he said, I could tell from the pauses in your poems. And that should have been my sign. But I've never been very good with men until now. Shout out to my boyfriend. He's here. I've been too trusting. And yeah, that's kind of how it went. Just like that pickup line was, that's the way that things were. So Summersina, you don't deserve this poem. When I met you, grandmother was almost a star. The crystalline glitter of heaven started opening a hole in the shape of her sweet face. Something in your skinny face should have told me what you were. The way it was my poem that first caught you. The way you shaped your hello a bit too slick. The way you smiled big, but with no teeth. I thought heaven had finally shaken loose my own personal star. Maybe there is no star. No man to look at me and see God's face. No shoulders broad and golden. No heaven except what I find in a good poem. No, it certainly wasn't you. You, sharp and full of bones. You, the way you shaped each day around yourself. Your star too bright for even the sky to believe you. Could you even look yourself in the face? No, you don't deserve this poem at all. Not when my dear grandmother in heaven keeps telling me what love is. What heaven I am destined to shape out of my life, my love, my stacks of poems. She tells me, even though she is now a diamond star, there is nothing in this life I can face that I can't handle. No you I can't write out of my poem. And you'll always be chasing some secondhand heaven, finding some new vessel, a brand new pretty face to smile at and lie to. What shape is a smile that's not fully formed? What protostar signals its combustibility? You don't deserve this poem, and you never will. Although I wonder what shape you'll shift to next, what heaven you'll claim to find, what star you'll trap between your teeth, what face you'll twist into a bad poem. Thank y'all very much.
One more time for all of our performers this evening. I can't thank you enough for being here to celebrate with us. Quick note to the performers, if you can meet me in the back after this for a quick photo out for the Orion, that would be fantastic. As you are all heading towards the exit, as a reminder, there is a merch table there that has some anthologies. You can sign up for membership. It has some books from some of our performers that you can purchase. TC also brought notebooks and kits from the Yellowhammer Fund, which are available for free, so feel free to take some of those things. I can't thank you enough for being here. 10 years is such an incredible feat, and we are still going strong, so we will see you again. Thank you so much for being here. Drive safely. Love you. Bye.